This is TWiT.
The new owner of Twitter, well, at least he owns the lion's share of Twitter, more even than Jack or Biz or Ev. He's got more than 9% of Twitter. Kind of interesting. Elon's been slowly buying it up since January.
Since January 31st, yeah. And he's going to be on the board, and this is the thing that I think is underemphasized in his essential takeover of Twitter, which is that there's a lot of mousy, sort of like nondescript people on the board, and then you have this bigger-than-life personality, Elon Musk, and he's just going to be running roughshod over the board. He's going to, and this is my biggest fear, actually, that he's going to use it as his personal plaything. He's going to mess around with features. He's going to use it to troll the SEC. He's going to do all these things that are for him personally. I don't know that he's going to do that. There's no evidence, but I just feel like why else would he want to be so involved in Twitter suddenly as a company?
The information even said, oh, just go ahead and do it. You know, you're going to make him the CEO. It's not unprecedented.
The dead giveaway was him saying, oh, I'm going to bring out the edit button. And then Twitter had to go,
seconds
we've been
later
talking about this for years. Relax, people.
and we're going to do it. They were kind of, I think Agrawal, the CEO, the interim CEO of Twitter, I think was at pains to say, oh, no, this wasn't because of Elon. But it was right after Elon's poll. He's not stopping there. Look at Elon's Twitter. It goes on and on and on. Here's the most recent. This is from Elon, the fourth grader. Should we delete the W in Twitter? And there's only two choices, yes or of course. By the way, yes is winning. That's obviously jokey, but then you have to wonder, you know, how much of this is jokey. Convert Twitter's SF headquarters to homeless shelters since no one shows up anyway. Now, if you're on the Twitter team, if you're an employee, you might, I might say that's a joke. You might say, uh-oh.
Right. Well, he does extreme things. I mean, he really does them with his other company.
I don't think he's going to turn it into a homeless shelter.
No,
but it could be a shot at people who aren't working from home, right?
Right. But again,
I think that's what it was. Yeah. It's the whole idea that he's kind of upset that people aren't showing up, you know, for their work from home, because a lot of companies are obviously refining their policies now. I find like the problem with him is like there's no repercussions for his actions, and that's what happens when you're very wealthy. You have a lot of power. A lot of people on Twitter, you know, follow him and respond to him and want to be part of his orbit. And when you're that powerful and you don't have repercussions, you can just go and act the way you want to act, and no one's going to kind of stop you. And that's, you know, the tweet about, you know, is Twitter dying? He says, because he cited like the top 3 people who are followed on Twitter and how little they tweet. Right. And like anyone who knows anything about social networks realizes like, that's not how you analyze a social network in terms of growth, which is monthly active users and monthly active growth and new subscribers, how Twitter Blue is doing, you know, all this, like there's all these other metrics that he could be using. And instead he comes from this other angle. And it's just so like, this is going to be the person in, you know, not in charge, but, you know, trying to run the show here. It's just kind of disturbing.
Let's be clear. Elon Musk is a Twitter troll, and all this stuff about him joining the board and buying, you know, the money he spent to buy up
$3 billion,
9.2% of the company is nothing to him. I mean, it's less. What is it? 1%?
It's about 1% of his total wealth.
It's really nothing, and it greatly amplifies an already amplified Twitter account.
By the way, the stock price went up 27% when he was announced that he had purchased this amount, and he could have just sold it and made $1 billion.
Right. but I mean, as Dan was saying, that there's all these metrics that you normally use to judge the impact of a social network. But the one that especially applies to Twitter is the fact that all the media is on it, celebrities are on it, Justin Bieber notwithstanding, who's only
here's the tweet. Top 10 most followed Twitter accounts. Most of these top accounts tweet rarely, post very little content. Is Twitter dying? Barack Obama. Well, he's not president anymore. Justin Bieber. I don't know. Katy Perry, Rihanna, Cristiano, Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga. Elon Musk is number 8. He's tweeting to make up for the top 7. Narendra Modi, the premier of India, and the Ellen Show. But he says, for example, Taylor Swift hasn't posted anything in 3 months, and Justin Bieber only posted once this entire year. But is that a problem? I don't know.
The problem is that all these other people who don't tweet have more followers than he does, and that's the problem.
Oh.
They're also just, I mean, they're in their PR accounts, right? These are accounts that are run by PR agencies. It's not like Taylor Swift's actually on Twitter. I mean, maybe she is.
I might say there is a problem because anybody smart like Taylor Swift who has to manage her reputation carefully is probably reluctant to tweet. Nothing good ever came out of a tweet. Elon's the poster boy for that. So maybe what he's saying, Twitter's dying in the sense that people are reluctant to use it because of trolls, mischief, all sorts of stuff that can happen when you tweet. You know,
that's a very positive outlook. I would love that to be the case. The funny thing about Twitter is everybody uses Twitter. A lot of us use it for our job. Mike was, accurate, right? It's a lot of news and media journalists. We have to use it. But then everybody seems to also hate Twitter. And so it's this weird thing. Everybody hates it. Half the people want an edit button. And now they're finally getting an edit button. A lot of people are like upset that there's going to be an edit button. A lot of news people are upset about it. And it's one of those things like no one's really happy with Twitter. I'm not sure how to solve anything on there, with the harassment. It's like, if you want to address harassment, you have to talk about what a lot of people call censorship, but I would just call rules of the platform and, terms of service. So those two things collide. So I don't know, Elon Musk, if he wants to control, trolling and everything like that, you're going to have to put regulations basically on the platform, more in the terms of service. And that's something he seems very adamant against. So I don't know how this is ever going to get better, to be honest.
I fear that he will unleash the trolls out of a sense of free speech or whatever.
That's how this all started. Was is there such a thing as free speech on Twitter? Right. Maybe we should start our own social network. And then it was revealed after he tweeted that he had already bought. Now, by the way, this is not a controlling interest, but no one has a controlling interest. It is the largest single shareholder by a long shot. Right. Jack Dorsey only has 2.2%. So he I don't know how it works in corporate governance these days, but having 9.2% of a company is a significant thing.
It depends also on the shares, right? Because there's different levels of shares. I know Google does this where there's like a top level share, and it's the share that like the founders hold, and one of those is worth more than a third level share because due to voting rights, which I think the third level doesn't even have voting rights. And so I know corporations can stack their shares in a certain way that some are worth more than others. I'm not sure if that applies to Twitter. So
it's problematic in two directions. In one direction, Elon Musk is essentially
Twitter, by the way, as far as I know, has one class of stock. Yeah, it's all the same common stock voting shares.
But if he's on the board and he owns 9.2% of the company, then he can have an undue influence on his own Twitter account, and even worse, his own Twitter account can have an undue influence on the company. So, for example, if he loses a vote on the board, he can just go crap all over the board, crap all over Twitter, affect their stock price, do the stuff that he, in fact, has done with Tesla.
He could do that without 9.2% of the stock.
That's true. That's true. But he may use his influence and his megaphone to be overly influential on the board to ram through features that the rest of the
he is going to use it for PR. I mean, that's the thing. He's going to use it to cover issues with the Cybertruck. He can easily silence tweets about, Solar City messing up. I mean, Lord knows that battle was, kind of messy and still not completely straight. People in California that went early on Solar City are still waiting for stuff. I mean, and we understand, supply crisis, whatever, but like having a platform this strong, he can control the narrative of things like that. That's the part that's crazy. And that also makes it dangerous.
SEC did put strictures on Elon Musk, which he promptly ignored, one of which is that every tweet would have to be reviewed by an ombudsman before he tweets, and he completely ignored it. SEC was mad because, the one where he said, I have enough, what did he say? I'm going to buy back, I'm going to take Tesla private at $420 a share.
That was in
finance. He's already got the financing for this, which was a lie.
Right.
And then the stock promptly went up, and so he made money on it. In fact, this whole Twitter thing, according to the Washington Post, may have made him $156 million because he broke the SEC rules about disclosure. He was 11 days late in disclosing that he surpassed a 5% stake in the company. And by doing so, could have benefited it with the stock rise. In other words, bought it before anybody knew that he was a controlling owner.
Yeah.
And then the stock goes up and he sells it.
Right.
That's illegal, of course.
But why would he care? When in August of 2018, when he tweeted that and went through that whole thing, the SEC fined him $20 million and fined Tesla another $20 million. $20 million to Elon Musk is like 25 cents to you and me.
A rounding error.
Yeah. Or to me, anyway. And
that's why it's so bad when they give him these, which sounds like a lot to the public, so that way it looks like you did something, but you're not really doing anything.
Yeah, to you and
That's
me, 20 million is real, but not to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you get a job, right, is commensurate to your, your experience or whatever, right? So like make the punishments commensurate to your wealth. Like that was just dumb.
Yep.
So here's the question for you guys. Do we give him a pass because of what he has done, which is remarkable with Tesla and SpaceX? I mean, he has single-handedly put EVs on the map, and now that the Earth is burning, and we're very glad he did, right? Mm-hmm. SpaceX just put 4 non-astronauts on the International Space Station. Starlink is going to provide internet access to the whole world, maybe not quite as well as was suggested, but still.
Also contributing to global cooling because it's shadowing the Earth and satellites, but that's
hey, that's
issue.
Okay. We'll take it. Raising the Earth's albedo. So do we give him a pass, Mike?
Well, I don't like the fact that he's on the board and owning 9.2% stake, but it's his legal right, and so it's really not about giving a pass, not a legal pass. If the SEC doesn't have fines that actually curb law breaking and bad behavior, then that's our problem as
by the way,
citizens.
Last month, Musk asked the SEC to scrap the agreement.
Right. Yeah.
The agreement he wasn't really adhering to because
Exactly.
he has not clearly been vetting his tweets with lawyers.
I do not respect the SEC, he said plainly on 60 Minutes a few years ago. And this is clearly the case. But I just, again, I don't like it. Some people do like it. Some people love the fact that, a loose cannon is on the Twitter board, et cetera. But I think it's legal.
For him
so
is the best way to do pump and dump, which he has done again and again.
Right.
In February, it was announced the SEC was investing a stock sale by his brother. Remember the tweet he put out in November saying, hey, should I sell a 10% stake in Tesla to help the poor or to pay taxes or end a world hunger? And the day before that tweet, his brother sold a bunch of stock.
Yeah.
So he did it with Dogecoin.
Yep.
He's done it with other cryptocurrencies. The Twitter for him is a fantastic vehicle to make money. The irony is I don't think he does because I don't think he cares about it. He's got plenty.
Right.
He's the richest man in the world. Yeah. This is crazy. Do you give him a pass, Daniel, because of the great things he's done?
I mean, he definitely has done great things when it comes to science and engineering. There's no doubt about it. Evidence is lacking for his ability to make social networks better. Now, in terms of giving him a pass, no, but I am a wait and see kind of person. So I'll give him a fair shot. I mean, it's not like I have a choice here anyway, right? We're all just kind of waiting and seeing what happens with Twitter. It could get better. It could get worse. I don't know even how you measure if it's getting better or worse either, since so many people, have conflicting views on it. I think the bigger issue is I just find it just bizarre that people talk about, the issue of centralizations of the internet, right? Everything. And this is something the former CEO of Twitter was talking about, this idea that everything is centralized and controlled by corporations. And here we have a billionaire who just kind of does whatever he wants and buys up things, and it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. And then people keep looking up to these people as if they're going to save society. And I'm not sure that's the appropriate way we should be running things. I'd rather have a more grassroots, actual people involved, because fundamentally it's anti-democratic when you just have one person with so much wealth and capital and influence determining the direction of something as important as Twitter is in terms of news these days. And who knows what comes next. And I think this is just but people love it. They want to say they're for democracy, they're for more equality. But then when it comes to worshiping a billionaire, they get wrapped up in this idea that he really is like Iron Man when he's not. He's just another flawed human being who's made some amazing decisions and done some great things. But at the end of the day, is still just a person who maybe is not the right person for every single job on the planet.
Doc Rock, do we give Elon a pass?
No. Hard no. I'm with Daniel to some extent on the wait and see part of it. But I think the concept of, okay, let me fix this. Of Americans in general, probably more global population than just us, but I can speak to the people that I see. We really have to stop looking at other people to be heroes. When people ask me who is the most inspirational person to you, I give them the answer that most people hate. I go, me. Why? Because I start worrying about stuff that I can control, right? I'm not looking to anyone else to make the world better. I'm going to try myself. And man, I don't know how good I'm going to do, right? I might be that one splash of red dye in a gigantic pool, but I'm going to try. I don't know any better. I'm going to go in straight foolish. I'm going to try to make it better. And if I did that, and I know you're already doing that, Mike's already doing that, Daniel's already doing that, we could actually affect change. Waiting for one magical person to go sprinkle some, what is it, whatever I can say, AX33 level dust on the world to make it better, it's never going to happen. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. So I don't want to give them a pass because we've been giving too many people pass enough as it is. So how about we just try to fix things ourselves?